Hi, friends. I'm Yost, and I'm a pastor in the Baltimore area. If this is the first time you're joining me, and I'm very much low budget, doing like podcasty interview series as we look at the soundtracks from K-pop Demon Hunter because the theology of it is so good, and all kinds of friends from different traditions have joined me so far. And by all kinds of friends from different traditions, I mean Tom Rim joined me, and then I went on my own. But this time, I have Angela with me. And so, would you like to introduce yourself a bit?
Yeah, hi, I'm Angela Pupino. I am a candidate for ministry in the UMC, a seminary student here in the DC area. And my qualifications for participating in this today are that I love K-pop Demon Hunters, and I took a demonology class with a Byzantine Catholic priest this summer. So those are my qualifications right there.
And all of that gives me so much joy. For the weird backstory that no one watching cares about because there's no one live right now. Angela and I met at camp, both working with different groups. And this past summer, it seems like we, while hanging out by the poolside, wanted to like freak out the other adult that was hanging out with us as much as possible. And so there was a lot of talk about like demons and demonology and the problem of evil. And then if you have the two of us hang out long enough, we'll probably slip into conversations about the wound of Christ and who knows what else when it comes to medieval monastic traditions. But I feel like soda pop doesn't quite lend itself well to the end of that.
Had K-pop Demon Hunters even come out this summer? Had we?
No, yes, I think it did because I think it came out in June.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense.
But because of the fact that we're old, I'm rounding your age up a bit. Because of the fact that we're old, we were slow to actually follow the craze. Because the name is a perfectly fine name. It describes it perfectly, and it didn't sound like the type of thing I was interested in until enough of my friends were like, you should watch this. And I think I actually ended up watching it almost immediately after camp. So we're
That's
not
true.
too long after camp. Yeah. So this week we've got soda pop. I could have done golden first, but I think the reality is golden is kind of like this struggle with golden is kind of all throughout the film, and so I was lazy and followed the soundtrack order for this part. So yeah, at this point I can just let you talk a bit. Like, what are your initial thoughts on like the Saja Boys and soda pop?
Yeah, I was thinking about it because Your Idol is also a demon-based song that happens later in the movie, but Soda Pop is really your introduction to what this demon boy band is going to look like, and what their goal is and kind of what they're trying to do. And so what I find really interesting is that Soda Pop is like this catchy earworm song that is kind of their breakout hit single that they perform in a public place and then they perform on a TV show, and um, it's sort of their way of becoming enmeshed in the world and starting to kind of sink their demon claws into the society that they're operating in. And it's funny because I love watching YouTube reactions to movies, and so I've been watching all my favorite reactors do K-pop Demon Hunters like one by one. And the amount of times they're just sitting there like, they're dancing along to Soda Pop, but they're like, listen to the lyrics. Like, do these people listen to the lyrics? Because it's about feasting on someone's soul as if they were a soda pop, and so I think that is a really interesting it's kind of that double-edged sword because it's an earworm that if you don't think too much about, you're humming along to, but it's also the beginning of laying out of sort of this demon, this demonic their plan. Basically, this is how they're laying it out. And so, yeah, I think that's what I've been thinking about a lot. I was going to joke that you could call this episode like Soda Pop and the Banality of Evil or something like that. But yeah, I think that those are kind of my initial thoughts about the song.
Oh, yeah. So say more about like the banality of evil then, because that just sounds fun.
I think so, because I was thinking about this song in light of my demonology class. I think one of the things that really got me thinking was like, so we had a whole unit on we had a whole unit on demon possession, and um the first time we had a unit on like demon possession of like bodies in like 19th century France or whatever. The discussion question that Father Stell, the professor, put out that week was, what is the worst form of demon possession? And it was a little bit of a trick question, because like when we think about demon possession, we think about like, the horror movies and the scary body horror kind of aspect of it, but it
Or
is
like the guy
actually.
chained up that's like thrashing about.
Yes, yeah, yeah, or like levitating, bodies or chairs or contorted facial expressions or whatever. But it's actually scarier when evil moves kind of communally and collectively, but
Mm,
also in kind of in banal ways where you don't even think about, you don't even think about it. And so in the movie, everyone is like humming along to this pop song. They're like dancing, they're doing the TikTok dances, and kind of exploring this new band that has come out. But like you see that as the song is catching up, like people are going missing and people are having their souls stolen, and just kind of this like catchy, simple pop song. Um, I don't know. It feels like evil actually begins to move that way more often at first than I think
mm.
we realize. So that's kind of what I was thinking about as I was reflecting on. Um, I mean, even just all the YouTubers yelling at their screen, like, "Listen to the lyrics! Like, do you hear the lyrics?" Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I feel like the YouTubers screaming at their screens to listen to the lyrics, um, like reminds me of like people watching a friend going through a toxic relationship.
yeah,
You're like, because like this almost like drips of like love bombing. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like the I'm gonna take care of all of your desires. Like
yeah,
I'm gonna take care of everything. Don't worry about it. Um, which
yeah,
I used to volunteer with an organization that worked with survivors of sex trafficking, and like the least likely way that someone enters into human trafficking is by being snatched up off the street.
yeah, yeah,
Instead,
absolutely.
it's like this right here. What this song is doing is like wooing someone over and then convincing them that they're the only one that actually knows them, that
Yeah,
understands them, and that can only the one can
yeah.
satisfy the needs and ignore everyone else.
Yeah, and it is really a love bombing song now that because it is, it's like, "You're all that I think of. I want all, every drop I drink up, I want all of you." Like, it's just it has, and I think that's what's interesting about it too, is it has kind of hallmarks of things that in our least healthy as a society and as a relational people, we think of as like romantic or sweet, or um it's kind of masquerading as something that it's just not. And I think that that's really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And then like a part of that showering is also like all of the like good things that they're doing too,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're helping people.
which then makes like because of the good that they're doing, it makes the Huntrix girls look evil.
Yes, yeah. Yeah,
Because
and
they're
they're
destroying the shiny things.
yeah, and they're also just, they're turning everything technicolor, and they're these cute guys that like even the little old ladies in the community are, kind of crushing on a little bit. And it is just it's evil dressed up in all of the things that we are taught are good in the
Hmm.
world that we live in.
Yeah. That um like that reminds me of I feel like the larger story structure um speaks to like how do we engage with people, and specifically like I take this story and bring it to like an American Christian context, and so like I see like the Saja boys as like American Christian nationalism, like
Yeah,
the evil institution that is doing so much harm, but like when they do good things that's what people notice.
Yeah.
And so like then when you like people that are demanding that everyone this week be like, oh, thank Trump for the ceasefire. It's like, yes, the ceasefire is great. Like,
Yeah.
but also like if we want to thank him for the ceasefire, do we also have to thank him for like the large amount of weapons that he helped like funnel into this conflict in the first place? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
there's at least one or two biblical texts about delayed obedience is disobedience, but
Yeah. Yeah, and and I think I do actually the soda pop to white Christian nationalism pivot is fascinating, but I think that in a lot of ways white Christian nationalism functions in the same way in terms of these like picture perfect aesthetics of like you have your beautiful blonde family, and you have your American flags artfully arranged in your home in ways that don't follow US flag code, but it's
yeah.
and you have your little crosses and your little um those the popular Bible verses kind of taken out of context on little wooden plaques on the wall and things like that, and you don't it's hard to see when you've been trained to think that like that's the ideal aesthetic for
Yeah.
to start to see the ways in which it's masking things that are worse. Because I think about, I mean, the Saja Boys are like the cute K-pop boy band. Like they are just they have a cute logo and like a catchy slogan, and people want to know all their different personalities, and they're missing kind of what's actually happening.
Mm. Which now, because I'm still stuck in my own little connections, like I'm thinking of like all the cute little young white boys that are like the Christian nationalist influencers these days.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Or the beautiful women who are
yeah, like,
living their trad wife dreams, and
oh yeah, yeah, and um, I see like the foundational energy pull is away from the the connectional well-being. Like the whole point of the Han Moon is for people to be connected,
Mhm.
right? Pulling people away from that into isolation, into consumption patterns,
Yeah,
into those patterns where like these are the only people who can actually take care of it. Um, and like I know because they explicitly tell us like shame is the thing that kind of like powers all of like what makes demons. Um, it makes me wonder how much like intentional isolation is what helps brood shame. Like when we're
yeah,
actually connected, we don't get that. And so here's like a shiny like look, being independent is really good, and like I'm gonna take care of all your needs and everything will be fine, and just like buy the next thing that makes you happy. Um, and how that really messes with things.
yeah. And I mean, that goes back to that love bombing, and that like if you get getting too attached to one person and kind of severing your ties with the community around you does make you really susceptible to all sorts of bad things. I mean, abusive things, but also just things that aren't healthy. Um, Yeah, no, that's, and I mean, in my demonology class, that is my qualification for this conversation. Jokingly, we talked a lot about loneliness and shame, and kind of
Mm,
social isolation as um, emotional spaces that make you really open to the movement of evil in your life and kind of the growth. And I think that's also something that you can kind of see from Soda Pop, but I came away from that class with a really strong sense that evil is relational.
mm,
In like actually I think a similar way to how God is relational with us. Like evil seeks out relationships with us, or like openings in our lives, like in ways that are attuned to who we are as people. Like it moves societally, but it can also really move individually. And so that kind of relational aspect of evil, I think, is what you see in this song, where it's sort of that opening up of a relationship with the fans who are getting kind of slowly taken in by the Saja boys.
yeah. Um, and it's the other thing that I keep thinking of is because it's like independent relationship thing. So in my doctoral class on reading scripture this past week, there's an Italian guy in it, and we were talking about like the need to embody our faith. Like we're like we read the text, it calls us to do things, we do things, and as we're like entrenched in the doing of the things, we get a different understanding of like what the text was calling us to do in the first place. And there's like this beautiful cycle of like building a better world. And then one guy was like, oh yeah, like it, like the hymn, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. And the Italian guy immediately got so angry, and he's like, you damn Americans,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
why are you so independent always? Like it doesn't like, no, me, no, us, we're doing this together. Which makes me think of, are you familiar with White Too Long by Robert Jones?
No.
He was a Southern Baptist, and now he runs I think it's the public something. It's PRRI, uh, religion and politics and whatever. They do research is what it does, is what like PRRI does. But in White Too Long, he traces the independent salvation to show that it is unique to white American Christianity.
Yeah.
And that it was a tool used to help with colonial expansion, and like really ask like, well, what would it look like to remove that individualistic salvation? Like you pray the prayer and then you're right with God and then you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Like that makes it really easy to control a populace,
Yeah.
as opposed to a populace that knows that we're deeply connected to one another, that our salvation is bound with others' salvations, and like how do we build God's kingdom?
Yeah. I was gonna say, you know what I just realized is that in K-pop Demon Hunters, when like Golden comes out as a single, the people are on their phones watching the Golden premiere, but they're watching it in a group. Whereas they're listening to Soda
Wow.
Pop by Soja Boys, I think they're mostly actually like headphones on the train, like watching. I don't know if that's, but I was kind of realizing that there is that sort of weird individual energy even in the way they chose to.
Yeah, how they portray. You're right, because like I know for sure that like the train scene, they're in earbud mode.
Yeah.
That's why none of them realize what's happening.
Yeah.
Um, and if I can be fancy and go back, I don't remember when it first dropped, but it was very. I think it felt very communal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also a great teaser to the last song, right? That's
Yeah.
like super communal.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think that the sense of salvation as something deeply personal and not really communal at all in white American Christian spaces is very pervasive. It's very pervasive, and it's harmful in a lot of different ways. Because you have people who are trying to like figure out biblical, truth, in quotation marks, or not on their own, in their house, as opposed to trying to figure it out together with a community.
Yeah. Because really, we need each other. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, well, I don't think I have too much else written down. Yeah, no, I don't really. I think we got to everything that I had thought of. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I'm thinking about it for a second to make sure that there's nothing I'm really missing. But yeah, I think that this is it was funny because when you put out the call for talking about songs, I was with my girlfriend actually, and she was like, the Soja Boys songs are gonna, like, the Soja Boys songs are just inherently the most interesting to talk about when it comes to the gospel, and when it comes to just when it comes to like that Christian lens. And I was like, I mean, that's not true, but it is like there's something that's easy to overlook about the tie of a song like Soda Pop to the gospel, because I think that we have blind spots ourselves to the ways that acting individually is contrary to the gospel,
Yeah.
to the ways that listening to kind of the poppy, cool, fun song that's being sung by demons is sometimes more appealing than listening to the more complicated, lyrical, beautiful song that's being sung by God. So I've been thinking about that a lot as I've been reflecting on what soda pop says to me as a young Christian.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, because I've been tracing for the other songs Rumi's development as essentially a prophet that's helping to connect people better. And so I hadn't really, well, even thinking of Rumi as a prophet isn't necessarily inherently Christian. It's inherently Abrahamic. So, luckily, when we very first episode of this, Tom Rim helped me bring Jesus into it. So,
yeah. I mean, and we chatted about this a little bit before it started, but it is interesting the way that I can see Jesus, like I can see Christian messages all over this movie, despite it being, a K-pop, not ostensibly religious sort of, animated movie, but yeah, it's just really thinking about the ways in which it portrays evil and how it actually operates in our world and in our lives. I think is just really fascinating.
Yeah, and like I find film and media that portrays the truth of our human experiences to be very compelling in general. And in the same sense that if we take the passage where Jesus says that he's the way, the truth, and the life, there's probably multiple ways to interpret that. The one is like, oh, only Jesus is the truth. And the other is like all truth exists within the Christ. And so like as we're discovering things and finding things that are true and true to the human experiences and true to what help us connect to one another to build more loving and liberation focused communities, like that's Christ at work in the world in some capacity. So
yeah. And good, I mean, storytelling like K-pop Demon Hunters does that. It shows you kind of truths that you're overlooking all the time.
So cool. Well, thanks for joining me for this, and looking forward to the fact that this is essentially a two-parter since there's 2 demon songs, and I have to bring my residential demonology expert in, right?
Yes.
And
amateur demon expert.
Yes. It's, if the reality is everyone's an amateur at something, so onward towards perfection means that we're just going to slowly get better at being amateurs. So would you like to share any way for random people that end up watching this to connect with you, or Tom did the basic of like, Tom doesn't use the internet, so it's like, if you want to get in touch with me, contact Yost.
That is always an option. You can contact Yost to get to me. I'm not on Twitter or X or whatever anymore. I'm on Instagram. You could probably message me on Facebook too. But I am, I'm here in the, learning how to be a pastor, and, open to connecting with people about this for sure. I have good book recs from my demonology class. I can give some of those next time.
Oh yeah, yeah. Good point. Well, I will go ahead and wrap and go ahead and end this for the day. So thank you for joining me. Thanks everyone the random one viewer on Twitch, but then also anyone else who checks us out later. Thanks for checking it out, and definitely let us know if you have any other thoughts, because this has just been a fun little project for me. So until next week, which I think, so next Thursday, I'll be hanging out with Chris Schaefer, a Lutheran, to talk about Golden. So that